Hi YouTube, it is Leslie here from Lolabelle, and in today's tutorial we're going to be looking at how to wire wrap a teardrop shaped cabochon with the point down. So stick around and see how we get this done. Today I thought we would do a little tutorial on creating a pendant with a point down. So we've done a couple of sort of round side down. And I thought today we would do point down. So we're going to be doing it with this absolutely gorgeous Plume Agate Doublet from Flintsttone Studio. Absolutely lovely stones. You can see they've got a really nice shimmer on them. And we're going to do this with silver-filled wire. I get this silver-filled wire from the Scientific Wire Company. So if you wanted to check out what they have available, I think their website is wires.co.uk, and they have quite a big selection. So, by all means, check them out. I do really like their silver-filled wire. It's really nice to use. They do have sterling silver as well. But we're going to start by just cutting 4 base wires. So we'll just cut these out. We are also going to be wrapping with a silver-filled wire as well. And today we're actually going to use round wire rather than square. So quite often on my tutorials I use square wire. This is round. So we shall see how it goes. So 4 base wires, approximately about 10-11 inches long. Again, as I always say, I'm really bad for this. I eyeball everything. Okay, so we've got the 4 base wires, and again you can straighten these out using your nylon jaw pliers. But what we can do is with the weaving wire, again it's from the Scientific Wire Company, silver filled. So the weaving wire is 0.4mm and the base wires are 0.8, so 20 and 24 gauge, I think that is. We're going to start the same way I start a lot of my pendants, which is just connecting the 4 wires at the bottom. So I just take the weaving wire, hook it over, let me zoom in so you can see, hook it over and then come round. Now when I'm using round wire, certainly with the weaving wire, I quite often work from the spool. Just sort of prevents wastage, I suppose, and because the wire's not going to twist, it's a lot easier to just sort of keep that consistency with the wrap and the weave. But the same principle, so I still do a handful of wraps and then come back in with my flat nose pliers, give everything a bit of a squeeze, tighten everything up, and then I continue. Now I like to have the base of my pendants quite well secured, so I have seen other wire wrappers doing just maybe like 4, 5, 6 wraps around the bottom, just having like a tiny little bit. I think that's their style and it's great, it looks nice. This is my style. I just like to have a little bit more at the bottom of the pendant. So we're just going to do a few more here, and then we basically do exactly the same as what we would do if we were using the square and half round wire. We just snip it off and squish it down. Give it all a bit of a squish, and then bring this end round. So we want both ends on the same side, so they're tucked in by the stone. And pop that in the bin. And then we just smush down this end, turn it over, just check that it all looks nice and tight, which it does. So there we have the weave secured. And you can keep trying to tighten these up if you want, but I think sometimes you can overwork the wire. Now, obviously we've got our stone, so we want the wire to snugly fit the base here. So what I'm going to do is with my flat nose pliers, I'm going to try and get the edge roughly close to the middle, and I'm just going to bend it up. So just a quick, smooth bend it up. If you end up with one side slightly higher than the other, and this quite often happens, you just unweave one or two of the wraps here. Just pick it off with your fingernail or your pliers, wrap it round, and then trim it there. Pop that in the middle, and then just smush down the end with your pliers there, and then you should have a nice even V shape for the bottom of your stone. So if you pick up your stone, you pop it in, and you can see that the point sits really nicely in there. Could actually go a tiny bit tighter. Not going to go too much. Tiny bit. Go back in, and there. As you can see, it sits in there quite nicely. So again, same as you would with your wrap with the round side down. So your teardrop shape with a round down. You're just going to pinch those wires around the stone so everything shapes nicely. And then we're going to do that little ledge on the back. So you can use your flat nose pliers, you can use normal jewellery pliers if you want to as well. I tend to use these because they give it a little bit more of a sort of straight edge. So you just grip hold of that back wire, and then with your finger underneath on the curve, so you can see my finger is just sitting where it curves. What I'm going to do is just move my wrist, bend the wire in, swap it to the other side, bend it in, and then you can just manipulate it so they look a little bit tidier. And there you have your little ledge. So your little stone is going to sit in there. So then you can pull your wires back in and around the stone. And what will happen is these back wires, you can kind of push these in a little bit so they sit all the way up the stone, or you can have them come back out and meet the other three base wires coming up the outside. So what we want to do is make sure we're happy with the stone's position, and then we're just going to grip it in our finger, so we're holding the wires where we want them. Just check where they meet, making sure they're central. So you want the point where they cross to be in line with the lower point of the stone. So just check everything is in line, hold on to it, and then I do it with pliers, some people do it with their fingers. You just bend it out so the wires all come together, trying to comfortably get them to line up. Sometimes these wires on the sides cross over, so if you kind of let your grip go a little bit on them, just realign them all. Oops. Realign them all, and then get your stone back in. Just check that everything is where you want it to be. So there you can see it's all sat in line and the stone is held in place. What we want to do now, I'm going to zoom back out, get rid of these, is we're going to go back to our weaving wire, and I'm just going to secure all of these wires together. So what we want to do is we want to try and keep them all in line and in the right place, in the right order. So get a few wraps around, and then get your flat nose pliers in there and just mush it together. And we're going to do, I normally do about 8 to 10 wraps on this part. This is what I call the neck. So 8 to 10 wraps. Sometimes I do less, but more often than not, sort of muscle memory takes over and I just kind of end up doing 8 to 10. And then I just give it all a smush. So what we've got now is everything is secured. Everything is in line. So with this little tail that comes out here, I'm just going to feed that up through the middle. And then I'm going to keep it all in line and just give it a bit of a pull round. So I'm just going to have it there for a moment, just whilst I secure the stone in. So I'm going to bring the fingernail down between, let me zoom back in, bring my fingernail in between the first and the second wire and separate them. And then just hook that wire in. Same on the other side. Oops. Get that nose of your pliers in, wiggle it down, bring it in. So then your stone is secure, so you can then roll your pendant in your hands to try and make sure everything gets done up nice and tight. So what I want to do is I want to tighten this up a little bit here. Just want to make it a bit tidier. Don't like having gapes. So this wire we're going to do 2 or 3 wraps around the base wires here. And we just want to try and tighten it off so it just secures the wire. And then sometimes I'll do it today because it's a good thing to show you as a tutorial. On this back base wire, I will just take this wire under here and pull it through once or twice. And again, it just anchors that wire, stops it becoming a naughty wire later. And then we're going to just trim that end off and squish that in. And what I'm also going to do here is I'm just going to bring these wires out so I've got like a bit more extra at the top, just because we've got a bit of a gap at the top, which is part of the design, but we don't want the stone to sort of lean back. So what we're going to do today, and again, as I often do, I sort of pause at this point and look at what I'm doing, decide what I want to do with the actual design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 wires from the front. There's 1, 2 and 3, and I'm just going to push them over to one side. And I'm going to take the 3 wires that are kind of in the middle and I'm going to bring them over to the other side. What I'm then going to do is I'm just going to take my fingernail down between those 2 wires, so they're the back 2 wires, and this is going to form our bell. So what I want here is to bring the weaving wire, which is still on the reel, in between the 2 wires. I'm going to do, it's not a difficult bell, so even if you're at the beginning of your wire wrapping experiment, we call it, this is not a difficult pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 1 around one side and then around both, come between, go 1 around one side, around the back, 1 around the other side, and then around both. Okay, so we go 1 to one side, 1 to the other side, and then 1 around both. And we just continue with that pattern and bring the bow up to the height that we want it. So what we want to do is, once we've reached the kind of height that we want the bail, which will be about halfway up what we want to wrap, we pause. we change the direction of the wires, so we draw them back in towards each other, and then we carry on wrapping. So one to each side, one around both. It's quite a simple wrap, but it actually looks quite nice when it's done. So one around each side, one around both, one around each side, one around both, one around each side, oops, one around both, each side, both. I'm getting close to that point where we want to start working back in. So what we want to start looking at now is this high enough? Nearly. A few more maybe. Oops. There. And there. Okay, we'll go one more. One. And two. I'll just go right around one around there so it doesn't all slip. So there we have the height of where our bell is going to go to. What I tend to do here is, rather than pre-shape the wires, I let the wires guide where they want to go. So I will cross them over and use my fingernail or my finger, just slide them down, and at the point where they look pretty even, I'll hold them in place and then bend them out with my pliers like that. So we've got the shape now, and then we just carry on with that wrap. So one around each side, one around both. Now, as you come back along this this part of the bail, what you sometimes find is the wires start to move up and towards the top part of the bail. So use your finger behind to kind of hold the wires in place so they don't all start spreading out. And then we're just going to carry on all the way up until the point where the wires meet. So this is quite a quick bail to make. Obviously it's not hugely intricate, but for a beginner it's quite a nice one to kind of get in your toolkit, because it looks nice and it's not too difficult. So you can create a wide bail without too much difficulty. Okay, so once the wires are back together, I do 3 wraps around one wire. As you can see there, 3 wraps around there, and then I snip with this. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but you have like a little tail end there. You can just see it just at the top of my pliers. I'm just going to pick it up with the pliers and scoop it round so it's flush and back. And there you have the start of your bail. And I'm just going to straighten up these wires, bring them back together, and then I'm just going to mush gently all the way down. And I tend to do it from both sides because the pliers don't always reach the other side quite so well. Good. So you can see it's quite a nice non-catchy pattern. So we're going to go to our trusty bail making pliers, and we're going to get in there, and we're just going to push it over, bring it around, and again the wires meet the wires, and that's simple and done. With these 2 back wires, I will take one and pull it to the front, so it just comes around the side, and then I hold all of this together and wind this wire around nice and tidily, so they just sort of sit next to each other. You just go round, round. I feel like I'm losing my voice today. I don't know why. Okay, so then I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and I'm just going to pinch everything together, make sure it's all nice and tight and tidy. And then this wire, I'm going to fold it down and inside here, just hook it in. So it's just sitting in there. This wire is then going to hold it in place. So we're going to bring that one round, following that same line, and go over the top of that wire, so it just holds it in place. And then we stop there because we want to take it. No, we don't. We keep going. We stop there. That's right. Having a moment. So we don't want too much excess here. But what we will do with this end is we're going to take our pliers and we're just going to fold it in on itself, so it just hooks around and you can't really see the end of it there, or you definitely won't be able to see it in just a moment because we'll cover it with these wires. So you can't twist around wires, so we're not going to get any twisters out today, but I just want to make sure that they're all nice and straight. Make sure the stone feels nice and secure. And sometimes what I like to do when I've got quite a tall stone is I'll put like a second kink in here. So we just go in onto that second wire and we just do like an opposite kink. So you see it just sits on the side. Ooh, focus. There we go. Right then. So we'll do a simple swirl. We'll go top 3 wires, flatten them with your fingernail or your thumb, and you're just going to pull it around and cross it to the other side. It's that simple. You can pull them up a little bit if you want, make it smaller. The other 3, again, flatten them with your nail or your thumb, and you're going to pull them round from underneath and then go over the top. Now we want 3 wires underneath to stay in line, and we want these ones to stay in line, so we'll just use flat nose pliers for a moment there. These wires are going to come around there, so they've come around the back, they've come round and around the back. Now these 3, we're going to bend them that way. So what we're going to do is use our thumb. We're just going to start to build that curve nice and slowly. And again, this is where you might want to get your flat nose pliers and just make sure that they stay nice and flush to each other. And then you have a swirl. Now these wires go around to the back, and I'm going to trim them off there, all 3 of them, because all 3 of them will fit onto this top part. And probably a little bit long, but I would sooner cut off less than I need to than more, too much. So I'm going to just trim a little bit more off that one, and then I'm just going to grab my pliers and I'm going to get in there and hook it in. So you can see it just locks in on the inside. Same with this one. I'm going to trim a little bit extra off of that one. I'm going to do exactly the same. push it down, get in there, squeeze it in. Third one, trim a little bit off. Do the same. So it just comes round, pushing it in, get it in there, squeeze it down. Those three are all lovely and secure now. Okay. Now these ones, and this is where you can get as creative as you want to with this, because your design may differ from mine, which is great. We're all individuals. But what you might want to do is you might just want to cut those off and seal them in here. You might want to bring them back round. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them across. So it just gives you a little bit more. And then what shall I do? Where should we go? Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll make sure they stay flat. And then kind of curve it around that spiral that's already there. Bring them back up over here. And we'll hook those in. So we'll cut them off. I'm just going to put it short on those ones like that. There we go. Cut those off. And then we'll just press these down and secure them in. Press them down, secure them in, press them down and secure them in. And there is your finished pendant. Now, because silver filled is shiny and it's covered in fingerprints, I'm just going to get a polishing cloth, move those out of the way, give it a quick once over, get all the fingerprints off and then let the shine come through. And there you have it. Point down pendant. Okay, so again, give it a try. Let me know how you get on in the comments. Let me know if it's been helpful, and also let me know what else you would like me to share with you. If there's anything that you would like to know or any techniques that you're trying to do, just let me know and we'll see if we can get that sorted. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel as well. There's a lot planned for the Lolabelle YouTube channel for 2026, so it'd be really, really good to have more of you here. And thank you to those of you who have subscribed. Your support means the world to me. Thank you. So yeah, there you go. Good luck. Let me know how you get on in the comments. Till the next one. See you later.